So our topic again tonight is what we resist, persist. And I want to begin by talking a little bit about a case that maybe many of you have heard in the news and that I didn't know about because I don't have a cable, I don't watch news, but all of a sudden I'm in YouTube and I'm seeing this case of Johnny Depp and his ex-wife. Her name is Amber Heard. And I was just reviewing some of the things that were happening there. And I was like, why did he attracted into his life this sort of relationship with this woman? See, the question here is, yes, they are in court. They are having a conflict, right? And they are trying to resolve this conflict in court. But beyond what we can imagine or what we are going to be talking about today is because, see, there is a victim here and there is a perpetrator, let's say. But why did he attract this sort of perpetrator, which was his ex-wife? Because many people might think that she is the perpetrator. Maybe we can give it here another possibility to see it differently. Maybe it wouldn't resonate with you, but maybe it would after I tell you all of this. So let's talk a little bit about this and analyze, because this is what we are going to be doing before entering into the book. Because the book and what the information that I'm going to share tonight is kind of relevant to that of the victim and the perpetrator and why we attract things that we don't want in our lives. When we ask for, oh, but I want to live this harmonious experience with a partner, a relationship partner, or I want to manifest in my life abundance, or I want to manifest in my life harmony, just love, or whatever it is that you want to manifest and experience. And all of the time, what comes is the opposite. And so I thought that bringing this case of Johnny Depp and his ex-wife is so perfect to just give you an example. And so you can compare and see, now it makes sense. See, I was listening to his story. He was sharing a little bit about his childhood. That's what caught my attention. I was like, oh, he's talking about his childhood. And right away I was hooked into what he was saying, because we are going to do a systemic analysis of that. So he's talking and he's saying that when he was born, I mean, he talked about his background. Mom and dad were together all the time, but mom was very abusive, physically, mentally, psychologically abusive to all of them, not only to him and his siblings. And he also actually says she was cruel to us because he had an issue with an eye. She used to bully them, but she also used to beat them. And also the father. The father was also a victim of abuse. So look at his background. He, Johnny Depp, accepted also a woman who was abusive, because what he learned at home was to accept mom was abusive to dad. So for him as a child, he's seeing, right, my model is I can accept, or I could accept, a woman just like mom and do it just like my father. Because the father who was being abused never did or say anything. He would accept the abuse. He actually would say he was almost crying, but he would never say one word or do anything that would be against her. He would just handle the whole pain. So him as a child, he is learning by seeing what his dad accepted from mom. And today, right, he wants to live a different experience in a relationship, and he attracts a woman who has got an issue, a psychological issue, because this mother, and let's talk about what the mother had. When the father finally, when he was about a teenager, his father decided to leave. He's like, I cannot handle this anymore. I'm leaving. And he left. And by then, Johnny Depp said, well, I thought he was a coward, that he left my mom, he left us all. But see, he's not seeing the father's side, because we are all mostly loyal to our mother, no matter how she was with you, no matter if she was abusive, if she was she wouldn't pay attention to you, she wouldn't take care of you, whatever it was, we as children were loyal to mom. So he did, and he went through the same experience with his ex-wife. See, when the father leaves, this woman, his mother, gets depressed. And he says that she entered in this state of big depression, big depression. So I was just seeing the mother comparing this mother with his ex-wife. And his ex-wife was diagnosed, let's say, with borderline disease or borderline condition, or however you call it. Disorder is a disorder, right? And what is this disorder about? When a person has a borderline disorder, they have panic, a big fear of being abandoned, because maybe in their childhood they had issues with abandonment. It's making sense? So this person has this fear that is so big that you need to manipulate others if you're not getting that attention, or if you feel the other one is going to leave you. You need to manipulate, you become maybe aggressive, right? You do all of these sort of behaviors that you do because you are afraid of the other one leaving you. And that's precisely what happened, right? At a certain point, Johnny Depp was like, well, I'm tired of this, I'm leaving. And she got to that point because that's what it is, right? What you resist, right? What you're resistant is what persists. I don't want to be abandoned, but since that's my biggest fear, guess what? Abandonment is what I'm attracting into my life. I don't want a woman like this because it's abusive. Guess what? If you haven't healed that within you, you will be attracting that sort of relationship. Why? Because you haven't integrated, you haven't healed or integrated that part of you that comes in your genes and that you learned as a child and that you haven't been able to heal because you have a wound, an inner child wound that you haven't been able to heal. And since you are not aware of it, you haven't been able to actually integrate those memories and understand that those memories from the past are affecting you today and what you are attracting into your life and what you are manifesting outside. Does this make sense? Because it's important to understand why we attract these sort of experiences. We don't want that. We resist it, but the more we resist it, the more it shows. It comes directly to me. And that's not what I wanted, but that's what I must experience. And look at the word that I'm using. That's what I must experience. Why? Because you as a soul, you chose to come and heal that. So you must confront your truth. And mostly we are afraid of confronting that truth because it is painful. It's not fun. That is that part of us that let's say we put it in this sort of, we put it in this place and we locked it and we threw it to the bottom of the ocean and we don't want anybody to find it because it is so painful that I don't want to experience that again. But what happens is that when we don't go and get that sort of pain and unlock it and see it and confront it, it is what is going to be leading my next experiences. So I'm here today to talk about that what we resist persists. And it is done, that's like physics. It happens because it could be your blessing to change your reality. If you get to see it this way, you will be able to change it. If you are not aware of it, you will keep repeating the same. And so We might not see it as fun or easy, but if we take one step forward and confront that sort of truth, we will be able to recreate a different destiny for us, and for all. Because we are at this point, we must understand that we are not just individual souls. We are part of a collective. And as you hear, we all hear. I'm here to share information that is probably taking you, like blowing your mind, because it's not just any kind of consciousness. It's a very amplified consciousness to see life from a big angle and not from just the little vision that you can see around you. Because all of this that I'm sharing is not about what you see outside, but what it is within yourself and that you haven't been able to tap into. And mostly that you are connected to an information that is not only yours. Maybe it didn't start with you. Maybe it did start with your ancestors, which is mostly what I believe. That mostly what we are experiencing today is not us. It is our ancestors that got to experience all of this and couldn't resolve. See, I was sharing this story of Johnny Depp and his ex-wife, and you would say, how come a man with these possibilities, with such a blessing, right, these gifts, would attract this sort of abusive relationship into his life? See, it's not him. That's not what he wants. It is what it is within himself. And last program, for the ones that don't know it, right? I have a new YouTube channel in English. If you want to follow these programs of Alchemy for the Soul, on the number 9, I was speaking about the energy of the perpetrator, because we have the tendency to blame everything on the perpetrator. It was that one who did that to me. I'm just the victim of it. But guess what? There is no victim. It is a soul contract where you wanted to heal something that is not healthy within you, but it's unconscious. You cannot recognize it. So you have to attract someone to show you what you need to heal. And so the experience comes and we might not like it, but actually the perpetrator is always at service, is serving us, because we love so much ourselves that we want to change that. And yes, I'm going to say yes, the first step is to go through the pain, through the suffering. Because in this human reality, that's how it works. There's no other way for you to change what you don't like about yourself unless you see it outside. Because we don't have that connection yet, not yet. We are on 3D, moving on to the next consciousness, the new consciousness of 4th and 5th dimension, where we will be able to see easily that the programming from the past and the transgenerational is affecting our present. But our ancestors didn't know that. And back then, let's say that they couldn't understand it, as many of you maybe are not even understanding what I'm talking here about. See, as Patrick just said, well, that information for me, I couldn't connect it until now, after maybe listening and listening and listening, the click happened because your consciousness is already aligning with your soul and you are opening up to understand because you are ready to understand. And maybe beyond that, you are ready to take one step to change that. And that's pretty much why I'm here for. I'm here for because I put myself this mission because I believe that I came with that purpose of helping or serving the process of evolution of humanity by sharing this part of the process that we all must do. And that is to heal our ancestors' past. Otherwise, we will repeat all of these suffering experiences that we are resistant, but they persist in showing in our lives. And so, I took some notes. I want to share something here. I took some notes on when I was listening to Johnny Depp speaking about his childhood. And so I wrote this, doing this systemic analysis of his family system. He says, that he married this woman, right? But I wrote this. He married, energetically, he married his mother. He married his mother because his mother was very abusive to him. You know, she will bully him. She will physically, he used to say that he used to be like all the time on guard because if you were around, she will hit you. So he was so used to, listen the word that I'm using. He was so used to being abused that's his programming. So when he grows up as an adult, he attracts a woman to abuse him. And then he saw his father, right, that also was physically, mentally, and psychologically abused by, his wife, which was Johnny Depp's mother. And he would also accepted it. He wouldn't say one word. She would hit him like very hard. All the children were seeing, and he wouldn't say anything. So he was doing the same. He said that he handled the whole situation the most he could because at certain point he used these words, because I wanted to do it differently than my father. I wanted the relationship to work. So I stayed quiet. I didn't say anything and I handled the whole abuse. See? But what happens here is that as he's saying this, his father handled it until, until he was a teenager, until, Johnny Depp was a teenager to leave. And he kind of did the same. At certain point, he says, that's it, I'm over. I cannot handle this anymore. So he felt bad because his father left his mother and she went through that depression. But the mother had some mental issues to resolve. And that's why she was acting this way. See? So there is not a perpetrator there. I want you guys to see that the perpetrator is being judged, but we don't know what is behind the perpetrator. These people that we call the perpetrator have been abused or abandoned, and they have this anger that they haven't been able to release, or maybe they couldn't express that anger. So when they have someone who loves them, first thing they do is, I don't believe you. That is not true that you can love me. And since I cannot trust in you, I'm going to operate from my manipulative side. And then they become the perpetrator. But it's not a perpetrator. It's just an energy in this person that hasn't been able to be healed because they didn't know this that I'm sharing here today. See, this woman, Johnny's Depp woman, a mother, had an inner child that wasn't healed, and also his father. See, we tend to see people as adults, like we see big people. You would say, "Oh, yeah, Maya has 50 years old and she looks like an adult," right? But I have within me an inner child, and this inner child of mine, if this inner child of mine has memories or wounds that I haven't been able to resolve, guess what? I might be acting on behalf of my inner child and not from my adult. And so that's really what happens to these perpetrators. They have things to heal that they haven't been able to heal, and that's why they are acting in this way. And since we don't know it, we tend to judge them as the bad guy of the movie. See? And so I'm just giving you this perspective for you not to fall into, oh, she's guilty, or to blame things on her because she is the perpetrator, because there is no perpetrator. See? It's just an energy that is looking forward to be healed. And the more we embrace the energy of the perpetrator, and when I'm saying us, it's us, because that energy of the perpetrator is within each of us. Or I'm going to ask you, how many times have you felt anger when someone maybe left you? Or didn't do what you wanted or what you were expecting? You became the perpetrator because I'm telling you, you must have felt maybe resentment or anger. So I'm asking you, is the energy of the perpetrator within you? Is it active? Have you healed that? Where does this come from? Where did you learn that? Maybe it's being carried transgenerationally because maybe one ancestor didn't get to heal it and you're identifying with doing it the same and you haven't been able to recognize that. See how the physics of this is? It's like physics. That happens there and that affects here and that affects there and that we are all doing it the same way because it hasn't been able to be resolved from the origin, from the beginning. I see Rachel. Hi, Rachel. So she's saying here, oh, I have more comments here. So Rachel and Sia, can they heal if they won't acknowledge? Very good question, Rachel. It's hard. It's hard that they can heal if they don't acknowledge where they are because they deny themselves. See, when the psychologist, because I was also listening to the psychologist who did a test to this woman. What's her name? I forget the name of Amber. To Amber. Amber, this psychologist did a big long test on her, and she said that she had that that was the assessment, but she kind of denied it. It's like, well, yeah, right. Like I'm the one that is wrong. So she's not willing to see her truth. She is not willing to see her truth, and it's perfectly okay. If the other one don't see where they are, it doesn't really matter. They are in the process of transformation. Maybe it's going slowly, but I'm gonna tell you something else. Surely enough, we are all going towards the same direction, which is the light of the consciousness, no matter how long it takes us. And this is something that I want to actually say something about that, and it is to respect the destiny of each person here on earth, because each of those people who are not aware of where they are, their unconscious level, and how they can affect others, right? That's the process they chose, and that was the pace they chose to get eventually to the same place where we are getting. What we can do actually is what Johnny Depp did. Said, well, I'm creating these boundaries, these healthy boundaries, because now I can see that I attracted you because in my system, I learned that abuse was kind of normal. But now I can see that it's not, because I can see that it's a side, this part of this energy that needs to be healed, and I can heal it. And the first step to heal it is to integrate and heal the experiences and the memories that I have with my parents from my childhood. And if I don't get to heal that, then I really cannot move forward, because then we feel incomplete. See, maybe Johnny Depp was looking for that sort of love. I'm looking for the attention and the love, the sweet love that I didn't had from my mom. But what did he found outside? Exactly the same sort of abuse, because he hasn't been able to heal that. Once he heals that inner child, once he integrates, once he understands this from this level of understanding that I was a soul at service that came to do this part, then it'll be easier for me to say, I see, my mother had this issue and she couldn't resolve it, and she was acting from that issue all the time. And I thought it was me, but it's not me, it's her. And I can say, Mom, I see where you are. I see it clearly. See, and you can say something like, I can see it, and I can see that information is within me. And you can say, I respect your destiny, Mom, or ex-wife, or ex-husband, or whoever. I can say, I respect your destiny. Still, I choose to do it differently. And so you can say, I liberate you and I liberate myself with all gratitude because of what you got to show me. So I can heal today because I feel ready to create a change. Yes, makes sense, Rachel. Thank you for explaining that. I bought your book, reading to start reading it. Awesome. I love it. Well, that's what we are here for. I got lost I just got lost while I was talking about all of this. But yes, we are going to continue reading the book. I'm actually about to begin doing the reading. But I also have another comment here. Someone wrote this, and it says, "My first marriage, I married my mother." Yes, very good. We actually married our mother, no matter if we are women or if we are men. And this might sound crazy, but energetically, we marry our mother. Why? Because if we have some gaps or voids or emptiness that we didn't get to feel, that we got fulfilled as children, then we married our parents, because I'm still missing that part, and I'm still waiting for that part to feel complete, so I can go outside and I don't have to be looking for that outside. But since I'm out there with this missing part, like I have my canister of love, and my canister of love is not filled, guess what? I need to go feel it. Otherwise, I don't feel complete. So I'm looking for my wife or my husband or my children or my friends or whoever to feel my canister of love. And what happens here is that no one can feel that canister. No one but yourself. Today, as an adult, you are the one who will be mothering or parenting your inner child. And how can you do that? First, by healing your parents, by healing your ancestors, and then integrating, and then doing this process of forgiveness that is not just saying, "Oh, yes, I forgave my mom." And you can say it from here, from your mind. But if your soul hasn't felt sincerely that change, if your soul, that inner child of yours, hasn't been able to feel this moment with mom that we do in a process of family constellation, when we do the sessions, then this child didn't get to feel it. It's not happening here. You might say, "Yes, I forgave," but deep inside you, you haven't, because that inner child of yours haven't. You need an experience to create this inner change. And so you can feel at peace with that. And that is a movement that happens within you. It's not in your mind, but it's in your soul. See, and I want to say this because many of us say, "Well, I understand that my mother, that was what she learned," and but you're understanding from your mind, but your soul, the soul never understands, because the soul doesn't think. The soul only feels. So if your soul is not aligned to the consciousness of love, it's irrational. The mind cannot align with the soul. And so I will be attracting again the same sort of experiences of unconscious experiences that I'm resisting, but they persist in showing in my life. See? Makes sense? And so she says, "My first marriage, I married my mother. Even though he was male, he abused me just as my mother used to do." Then that is a confirmation that that's the story of many of us. And I'm so glad that you're sharing that. Thank you for opening your heart and sharing this, because see, it's not only you. We are all healing the system of life. And so maybe your husband, right, was showing you what you needed to heal, because, yes, you had that memory of abuse that you maybe feel ready to heal today to be able to change that in your life. Because the abuse happens in many ways. See, the abuse can happen as someone lies to you. The abuse can happen as someone put extra work for you and you accept it because you are so used to accept abuse that you don't see the line when you allow the abuse anymore. You just accepted it all the time. See? And so we are here to change that. Rachel. Rachel is saying, "My 2 sessions with you gave me so much relief. I'm feeling free. I am so glad." Yes, by the way, I do one-on-one sessions. If you feel like you want to go deeper into your family system and into hear your ancestors, contact me. You can send me a message here in through Messenger in Facebook, or here in comments in my YouTube channel, or here on Instagram at in the comments, or you can just send me a text at my WhatsApp is +1 321 900 5680. So let's begin with the part of our book. We will be here sharing for another 20 some minutes, and let's see. So last time I wanted to talk a little bit about the energy of the perpetrator, since we, it's kind of connected to what we are talking today. And it is that we don't want that energy. I don't want that to happen to me anymore. But guess what? If you don't resolve, or if you don't solve your past, then that's what will be persisting in your life. So listen to what the book says. When a soul chooses to come to serve through the energy of the perpetrator, it is a courageous soul. Just think about that. We are all the light before coming here to this density, this 3D reality, right? Where there is humanity and there is duality, and then there is the mind and the ego and all of it. So when we are the light, we don't understand what it will be to live this experience of the humanity. And so it is a courageous soul, because if you're coming to be the perpetrator, let's say the criminal or whoever, however you call these perpetrators, right? Well, guess what? When you get here, you're gonna be the one to is going to be judged and blame on, and it's your fault, or you are the one who's doing this to others. See, so most of us will be judging maybe or blaming things on that perpetrator energy, but we are not seeing it from this view that the perpetrator is serving life. This soul say, yes, I'm going down there to be your husband, and I'm going to abuse you until you recognize that you need to heal the abuse. See, and when you are in the light as souls, you say, okay, okay, let's do it together, because you don't know that you're going to be feeling as a human all of these unresolved emotions that come also from the past, from the ancestors, from the fear, from the pain, from the suffering. See? So what else it says here? The perpetrator comes to show us what is within our individual and collective unconsciousness. Yes, all that perpetrator energy that is showing outside that we tend to complain about, and we think that everything is so bad, is just showing us what we must heal. And we must heal it in the perception, in our perception, the way we are seeing things. That's why I'm giving you this amplified vision, not to judge, but to integrate and to recognize that that energy is within you too. Because remember that you are the universe and the universe is within you. So I'm just the projection of yourself at this moment, as everybody is here listening, right? So each of us is in a process of transformation, transforming your perspectives to get to a new consciousness. So it says this. However, instead of seeing it from this angle, of being a soul at service, we are talking about the perpetrator, we tend to judge it and to exclude it. Remember that we are in the chapter of exclusion, right? Including everybody belongs to the system. And so we tend to judge it and exclude it like it is not part of ourselves and part of the totality. When we deny, reject, or exclude the perpetrator's energy, it doesn't serve us well, because it brings more conflict. It wants to show itself again. The more we exclude it, the more it wants to show up. That is its task until we all get to include it. Remember, what you resist persists. So when we have a hard time including or accepting something or someone, we need to keep an eye on that and see what is showing us. Perfect moment to ask you, What is showing in your life today that bothers you? What is showing in your life today that I'm trying to resist it? I don't want to see it. It bothers me. Is it in a relationship that you're going through? Is it with your relationships or with your economy, with your finances, with your abundance, with the success in your life? What is it? Who is it there that is making you feel uncomfortable? Because it's your best opportunity to do this part of the work. What has not been included in your family system that is appearing outside in your life, well, keep an eye on that because that will keep persistent in showing. What or who are you not including? See, because we attract what we don't want. And so, what is it that you're not including that wants to be included that shows in your life at this moment? Now, it says here, if you don't feel included in your family system or in other systems, who has not been included in the past, maybe in your system, that today you may identify with him or her and maybe do it the same? Just ask yourself these questions. I'm here just to give you these insights for you to maybe take them with you and digest them. I call them digest those thoughts in your mind and see where they can take you. Maybe you came to solve that matter in your clan and you didn't know it. But I'm so glad that you got to know it today and now. And I want to finish with this. It says, criminal acts reappear in the descendants who come to show what the system needs to see, include, or heal. Most of the issues that create conflicts, such as addictions, gambling, prostitution, insanity, abuse, or betrayal, reappear because of lack of inclusion of the perpetrator who committed the acts. How that sounds. Isn't that interesting to see how we unconsciously are helping the same energy of, let's say, the perpetrator to continue when we resist it? When I don't want it, because when I judge it, when I see it like it is outside of me, then I keep that energy moving down the road for the new descendants or for others. So instead of helping, I'm creating the opposite effect. Just some thoughts. I'm just throwing here some thoughts for you to say, oh my, maybe what I should do when I don't like something, right, is to confront it. And maybe see it in front of you and say, I can see that you are showing me something that I need to integrate. And give us all a blessing as you heal yourself. Because the healing of one is the healing of all. And whatever you get to heal, then we all will heal with your own healing. Actually, at this point of evolution, right? The healing, the healing of the collective soul happens through the healing of the individual. And so we don't need anybody to do for us. We must take responsibility of our part. See your inner child, heal your ancestors, heal your inner child, heal your perspectives. Integrate that soul, integrate that shadow, integrate that perpetrator side within, integrate all of it because it's all part of us. See? And that's part of the work that we must do today. Create this systemic order that can take the system of life to flow organically and not in conflict as it has been for a long time. And our idea is that we can create that change, and I know we can create it together. Only one person can create that change, and if two join, and three join, and 1,000 join, and millions join, maybe we can create the miracle of transcending and ascending towards the new consciousness and living heaven on earth. What about that? That sounds like fun, right? All right, my dear. So I love you. I'm sending you lots of love, and I'll see you next time around. Mwah. Bye.